Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome, everybody. So glad to be with you. Another amazing Spiritual Rockstar podcast. I have an amazing guest here. Oh my God. When I met him, I think I got reached out to, and then I checked him out online because I am calling, like my guest list. It's not like I just bring anybody on. I get lots of requests for people to come on the show, and only X number get on the show. I saw his energy, what he was talking about. I was in the middle of just Be You launch, and Just Say Yes to You launch, and then he's got a Be You book and everything. We'll mention that later. But I just knew I had to have him on with the way his energy is and what he has to share. We had an amazing conversation before the show. So if you like the idea of being more just in a connected presence and letting things be a lot easier for you, and more magic, more magnetism of things unfolding, I believe those are the sort of things we'll end up talking about. You're going to love this show. You're going to love this show. So we're going to get into it in just a moment. Want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation today. All right, Chris. So glad to have you here.
It's such a pleasure to be here. And yes, we connected at first, and I'm happy that we, are on the same wavelength, because it always makes for such amazing conversations.
Yes. I'm excited for it. Yes. So let's go ahead and share more about you. One awkward thing is I forgot to ask you, how do you pronounce your last name? How is it again?
It's Cirak.
Cirak. Okay, that's what I was going to say. So Chris Cirak has a passion for turning sophisticated topics into accessible, meaningful, and inspiring experiences. With an extensive background in design, psychology, and tech, he knows a lot about tech, guys. He has spearheaded empathy-based design and education in business environments of all sizes and industries. In private, Chris enjoys meditating, playing tennis, something we both love, and writing music. He resides in Miami, Florida. Find him online at Cirak.com and on social media at Chris Cirak. All right, Chris. So let's talk about this. The secret design of life. I know that one of the things that in my notes from when we met, I didn't take a lot of notes when we met, but I took a few. One of the things you talked about that I think might be one of the launching paths for the conversation today is you said, I used to live for outcomes. And I was thinking about that before we came on the show. I'm like, wow, so often those of us that are ambitious and want to make more money or more impact, and both really, right? And all of it, we want more everything, right? More meditation, more of this, more outcomes. We're constantly, if you are wanting to, if you're an achiever type of person, you're constantly your brain's going to constantly think about outcomes. I want to get this outcome, that outcome, this outcome. And so I was curious. I'm a business coach, and as part of what I do, it's a mainstay of what I do in terms of what I people pay me for, the number one thing. And, they're always out after outcomes. How do we get this done? How do we get that done? So how do we obviously are going to have goals, we're going to have intentions, we're going to want outcomes. It's going to happen. It's going to be around for most of us. So, especially if we're achiever types, how does this secret life, the secret design of life stuff help us to drop this, like getting so focused on it's all about this outcome, and when I get it, I'm finally something, when I don't get it, it's like, yeah, you kind of suck right now. And it's constantly being like at odds with like what you're manifesting, so how do we get past that and start living a life that we can just, I don't know how you would put it, but just more be in our presence, spiritual rock star style, and let things unfold more naturally and not get so in our heads about these outcomes of them drive us nuts and be living for outcomes, as you say.
Yes. So, you brought up a couple of key words there. So achievement, a brain, being in our heads, too much. So the mind as a tool needs outcomes. It's always projecting. It's always trying to fill the next unknown moment with something it knows. And that's just how it works. It's not bad. It's just that's how it works. And so if we live through the mental lens, if we use the mind for living, for navigating life, we get, much of our environment conditions us to do that. We get more and more into this outcome-oriented state. And it's just the mind telling us that once we get there, we'll be happy. Once we get there, we'll be fulfilled. Once we get there. But the mind is taking this mental snapshot that is static, a static point at some point in the future. And life just isn't static. So that's kind of the trap there, right? That we think we're going to achieve a certain configuration of life, and that configuration will then just stay put and stay in place, and then we'll be happy forever after. And just life is not static. It's change, it's ongoing, it's living, it's breathing. We change along the way as well. We're connected, we're part of that change. So it's just one of the basic kind of traps of this mind driven life that we've all experienced it. It's to some degree where we get to that point. Even when we do achieve that point, it doesn't last for very long. There's oh yeah, that's great. We have maybe a plaque or medal or an award or something to show for, and then it fades. And then we try to cling to that feeling. We try to recreate it, and then we're chasing again, right? So it's not that life and these outcomes can't make us happy. It's just they can't make us permanently happy. And so really this permanence, the state of permanent joy, joy of being is what we're really seeking. And these outcomes can never deliver because they're always changing, or they'll last for a little bit and then we're off, chasing the next outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think about something, it might sound silly to people a little bit, but I remember like one of the things I really took pride in from my childhood is I got Best Sportsman Award out of our Little League, out of the whole Little League. It was like moms, voting for the kid they thought was the best sportsman or whatever. And, it's not like I was focused on trying to be the best sportsman. I was just being me. I was just doing what felt good. I don't know. I don't even remember what I was doing. And when I got the award, I was shocked. I was just like, well, really? Okay, cool. So when I think about some of the things that, certainly there's things that we achieve that we really put our focus on and then we achieve them. But a lot of times when that's the case, not always, but for a lot of us, we put a lot of tension into it, right? There's a lot of like, gotta make it happen. All right, we need to triple it down, to quadruple it down, whatever it needs, throw it all in there. Let's make it happen no matter what. And it can feel good at the end that we got the outcome, but like you said, then it's over. And then it's like, all right, what's the next one? Now we're even go bigger the next time. I'll put even more in. And this goes forever like that, right? Whereas maybe and then I think about like tennis, we talk about tennis, when I would look for the outcome to win, win the next point, then this strategy, and then I'll set them up like that or whatever to get in all these, and they can work, right? It's not that it can't work, but in an outcome based, but the enjoyment goes down. It might be fun to a degree, but it's not as fun. Well, when I'm just present and I'm detached to the results in a sense, although I'm intending certain results, but in a relaxed fashion and with just connected presence, I'm like, well, if it happens, great. If not, it's okay. I'm just holding the space for it, and let's see what happens. If it doesn't happen, I'll learn from it, and it'll be fun, and then we'll just kind of chat from there. That's when, for me, I've had the most joyful, often anyway, probably maybe all the time, I don't know. Some of the times when I've had the most joyful outcomes, and certainly it had the most sense of ease in it for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all kinds of ways we can approach things in life, is what I've learned. We can go into beast mode, as they say, and experience that kind of energy, and or you can, go into presence mode, and in a connected presence mode where you really are focused on what you desire and really get engaged and see, the outcomes come out, and celebrate them, whatever they are. We can be in that practice. Boy, it's very liberating.
Yeah, I always say living for outcomes is not living. Outcomes happen while living.
Yeah.
And something you really pointed out was that, the enjoyment goes down. It's because when we're living towards that outcome, we're anticipating there's some kind of mental idea of how we're going to get there. And then, by the way, those outcomes that we don't know how to get to, that we don't make up this plan in our heads, those are called dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But for most of our outcomes, we kind of have this idea of, this is what I have to do to get there. And so the enjoyment gets sucked out because you're in constant comparison of what's happening to what you think should be happening. And they're never the same. and so then you're really just steering and controlling and trying to, you're in resistance ultimately to everything that's happening, because you think it should be happening differently. And that's really the downfall of this outcome oriented lifestyle, is you're in resistance to the now almost every step of the way, and just steering and manipulating and judging and being critical and then self-critical. What am I doing wrong? The whole thing just you can see how quickly it falls apart and gets really complicated, when life is so simple, and that's how we make it complicated.
Yeah. I love the way you put things. Yeah, it's so true. It's like that like I've fallen into that. I'm looking at a goal and I'll be thinking, okay, where am I now? All right. How much time do I have left to get it done? All right, how's that going to work? How's it going to happen? And the first thought, usually for most of us anyway, isn't like, I'm on track, it's already done. Now, usually what most people are thinking, oh shit, we're not quite there yet. How's it going to happen? Now I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Now we're in even with the idea law of attraction, right, or whatever we're calling it, but like we're already putting in motion that we don't think we're going to get. I don't see how it's going to happen, so I don't know, and all that kind of stuff. So so how do you work with that when you look at like, well, because your mind's going to naturally do that sometimes. I have my own ideas about how to work with all these things, but what I do. But for me, when you get the energy connected, it's like your mind starts relaxing, right? You're like, I'm going to get my energy connected to what I want, or just connected overall, both. And then, okay, I relax more. And now I'm just in a sense of knowing it's happening. And maybe I don't know how it's going to happen. That whole thing surrendering now starts to kick in more. But I don't know if you would recommend the same thing, or if you have another way of looking at it, or helping everybody and approaching, like when they are focused on a goal, like it's hard to not see how you're not there yet for a lot of people.
Indeed. And what you said there is really key, is that when we're in this outcome oriented, mental snapshot driven place, what happens is the connection, and because you're in constant resistance and in comparison analysis to the now, you're actually disconnected from the now. You're experiencing yourself as separate from what's happening. I'm over here, and there's the world around me. There's life around me. It's happening, and it's not happening the way it should. And this should, be different, and this and that. So there's this distance, a disconnect to life ultimately when we're living through this mental outcome place. And and that's really where the satisfaction, the joy just leaves us, because we're not in the flow any longer. We're in this anxious, controlling space, and there's just all kinds of negative and lower frequencies exist in that place, and depression or anxiety, and we're judgment. Again, we get into negative loops. I mean, it's not a good place to to live life from. So how to reconnect, right, to what's happening? Well, the way life is designed, this is not just an idea. This is how we are really designed to operate, is through our sensations, through our senses. Our senses are how we connect to our environment. And the key is that the stimuli that come in through those senses, seeing, tasting, smelling, hearing, all of these inputs, we all have them. That's how life works. But what happens is we then judge those inputs. We're seeing something that we don't agree with, and then we interrupt that, we judge it, and we get into our head again, and we kind of shut that experience down. We feel things, or we smell things, or whatever it is, and it reminds us of something negative or positive, whatever it is, but we judge it again. So we're having these experiences all day long as we engage with our environment. But as soon as there's an onset of a feeling, a sensation, the mind just jumps in and judges it and says it's good or bad, right or wrong, agree with, disagree with, and so forth. And there we are, we're creating this kind of havoc from pure experiencing, from purely being with what's happening. And more importantly, the mind is we're in this mental judgment place. Instead, that takes away from this intuitive feeling, what resonates with us. And when we're connected to our body, we're feeling those sensations. That's what is the information that then our intuitive inner self, higher guidance system, whatever you want to call it, that's where our truth comes out. Is like, this resonates with me, this doesn't resonate with me. It's not mental judgment. It's a deeper sense of, this is what's right for me. And this is not what's right for me. And there's something really beautiful about this inner truth, because it doesn't clash with the truth of others. You actually want others, once you experience this inner truth and how pure and unwavering it is, and you don't doubt it, you don't question it, that's you. It gives you all the fuel, motivation, inspiration you'll ever need to live your whole entire life in the most grandest of ways. And really in the way that we're designed to be and live and have our own purpose. You want the next person to have that as well. You want them to have their inner truth and live by it. And so there's no clash of trying to compare and judge and validate your mental beliefs against what the next person is thinking and so forth. That just falls away, because you've got your inner source of truth, your GPS, and it's just like, it wants everyone to be just as happy as you are.
Right. And I mean, on the different perspectives on anything, from should you put a straw, paper or plastic straw in your drink, to all the political stuff for what color should anything be? I mean, like, you should have purple background on your website. You should have a red one. 3 other people said it should be orange. I mean, everybody's got opinions. I think that's what we're meant to embrace, the splendid variety and of viewpoints. And I think it's unfortunate that so often we're not doing that. All of us probably to some degree. And to be awake, like that's by design. We're all meant to have different perspectives on things. And often our head wants to think there's only one truth. There's only one way to get it done. And I got to figure that out. And, and we got to get allied to that. That's how we survive. That's how we make it. That's how we win. That's how we conquer. That's how we get love. That's how we get approved of. It's that one thing I need to know right now. And that's what hooks people on all kinds of content online and everything. That's why that whole hook always works. There's one thing you need to know, that one weird trick or the one weird thing, right? They advertise it. It works like crazy. That's why you see it again and again, because that's how your mind thinks. It thinks there's just this one thing. If you just get that one thing, man, you're going to get it all. But then there's the next thing you don't know, and the next thing. You're always looking for the one next thing. So it's just an endless loop, isn't it?
Exactly. And you mentioned something really beautiful in there, the diversity. If you really spend time to look at life and what the essence of the life force that's out there, that's just manifesting and constantly creating, it's this bubbly energy that, like a geyser, that is just diversity. It's not so much about long life and just, you know, safe life or anything. It's just this, there's a balance in this this endless upspring of life. It's quite remarkable. It's you know, it makes you feel like, you know, diversity is the essence of the balance and the beauty and the magic of this world that we live in. And so it's, you know, everything should go towards, as we recognize that principle, kind of that core life force principle of
Mhm.
of just an explosion of ongoing ideas and life and inspiration. um, and that's really where our own joy comes from. And when we like only live by the mind, you know, mind is the home of knowledge, but it's not the source of inspiration. It's what you know is kind of already gone and dead in a way, because it's not alive. It's what you already know. So there's nothing new about it. There's nothing fresh about it. You can't problem solve, really come up with new novel ways of living and breathing and seeing things. And so that's why we kind of burn out, and we lose the lust for life when we just kind of live through that mental lens. So it's so important to stay connected to this spring, this explosion and bubbling up through us, this life force. It's really a beautiful state to be in.
Yeah, and in our connecting, I know that you used to, like, again, getting back to living for outcomes. I know, um, you know, that that's something that it was a big thing for you. You were living for outcomes, you said. So, what was like your breaking point, like where, you know, sometimes people have like a big awakening, right? Like Eckhart talks about, other spiritual teachers talk about, et cetera, where they're just like, their mind was so engaged in, you know, what they thought should be, and their depression and everything, and how the reality wasn't worth the squats because they didn't have what they wanted in some form or fashion. And so I was curious about people's, sometimes it's gradual too, you know, it's often gradual. What was like your, where were you when you were like living for outcomes? Tell us a little bit about that. And then what kind of changed it for you? What was your breakthrough?
Yeah. And indeed, I think for most people, it is gradual. And that is actually the secret design of life. Once you're aware of it, it's no longer a secret. But that ultimately we seek ourselves in these outcomes, and we're all seeking something, and we're conditioned that way from early on. And why that conditioning is there in the first place, you know, it's a separate conversation. But that's our reality. And so we live towards these things. We think this will make us happy, and this will bring joy, and then it doesn't, because it's not permanent. And then we look for the next thing, everything we described so far. And then slowly but surely there's this, it starts to turn us inward, because we're looking for we're looking for our completion essentially in the world around us. And we should. The world around us is amazing. It's just to be infatuated. I would be infatuated to be born from just, you know, spirit into this unbelievable three-dimensional space. And now you can smell and taste the sea and hear and sing and feel. I mean, just this is an incredible experience. So no wonder we're totally immersed in the world around us. But then slowly that world around us starts to turn us inward, because that completion that they're looking for, that our core self, that permanent happiness, is not to be found out there, but it's found to be inside, and that source of that bubbling life force, right, that we talked about. And life will eventually turn us inward, and it happens to, you know, everyone sooner or later. You know, kind of the popular term is midlife crisis, and it's really important to, when that happens, to recognize that we don't have the systems in place and the structures in place in society that give you the time out that you need. I was lucky to have that time out where I had, as a contractor, I had the freedom to just take 2-3 months and just sit with what was happening with me, where like the reality that you believed in, that I you know, all these outcomes that I believed in that weren't delivering over and over, even though I was doing things I really loved. But even there, I was in, it runs so deep. It's so tricky, these outcomes of the mind, right?
Yeah.
That I had to reassess. And I was lucky to be able to have the space to take time and reassess and reevaluate the place from which I was living. So the day when you can take enlightenment leave or awakening, break or sabbatical, whatever it may be, hopefully we get there as a society one day. There are some cultures, some Aboriginal tribes where they recognize that moment or that phase that a member of the society enters, and everyone, the village comes around and supports you and huddles you, because it's a rough, right? The dark night of the soul. It's a rough time because everything that you believe in gets pulled out from under you, and so you need the support around you, and society currently doesn't really do a good job at all with that. They medicate you, they tell you have to go back to work the next day, and sure, you feel like you want to, you have responsibilities that you can't just disavow, and so it's a tough period, but we have to find a way through it. And then so the awakening takes care of itself sooner or later, I think, is the core message. And it's important to, when that time comes, to make most use of it and find the support. That was the roughest thing for me, is like, I had no idea what was going on with me. No one around me could tell me. I couldn't share with anyone. I wouldn't even, it's funny how the internet was around. This was 5-6 years ago. The internet was around, but even there, I wasn't able to, I didn't know what questions to ask. So the search engines couldn't bring me the results for me to even explain. And then, a good advice, I think, is to Google your symptoms, right? Once I was searching for these strange symptoms I had, always make sure there's no actual medical reason, but most of the time, it's a wake-up call, right? It's your body, it's your whole being is saying it's time to shift into a higher truth, a more authentic place, and the things that you believed in previously that we're going to want to cling to them because that's our reality, right? That's what we're living through and for, and it's hard. It's so hard to let go of that. But and if you don't, then you might go back to your old ways, but that time will come again. So that really is the secret, design of life, that it is pushing us towards greater self-awareness. And the more we start to recognize that really life has our utmost fulfillment at heart. It wants us to be fulfilled and live with purpose and know ourselves and know life. So the more we embrace that, the easier it gets.
Interesting. So Chris, like for me, there's a part of me that likes the idea of just spending more time, just being totally chill, drink my cacao, ceremonial cacao, spend more time just meditating, going for very long walks and hikes and, things like that. But then I have another side that does like to be very active. I'd love to do a marathon. Like I like to go to extremes sometimes, like that's at least, but I don't always do it though, but part of me likes to do it and does do it. But like, let's do a marathon. Let's do like 12 hours of prayer or something just for fun or whatever, and bring a bunch of people online, or I don't know, like I could, or do a big event or do a launch or something, or so this idea of like we're all different, and like just following, the sense of your rhythms and your flows and all that stuff, or whatever, the ebbs and flows maybe is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to trust it though, because when you go into the relaxation one is the hardest for most people, because you're thinking like, oh, I think I'll just take it easy right now. And then if you're in that driving mode, your driver and inner critic will tell you you're insane, you can't, and you're going to be out on the street, you're going to die, you're not going to make it, you'll have no money, and nobody will love you. Everybody think you're a horrible person and a failure, and therefore we can't rest, we can't sleep at night, maybe even, right? And we got to keep driving no matter what till we get to the goal, slave to the goal, get it done. And so for some people, they can only relax for a short while. And it's, boy, I get back to business as usual because I don't know. I don't know if this relaxing thing's working or not, because the minute it seems like maybe I could do it, maybe then you see something reflect to you. Oh, wow, I don't have money to pay my bills. I've been going through this transition. Like you said, I better go back to my job, or, I better start getting more clients or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it takes just, I just feel it takes like being willing to say, like, I'm willing to lose everything so I can gain everything, like kind of mentality. Because if your ego keeps saying, like, no, you're a failure, you're not getting anything done, you can't take this time to deal with these big sensations in your body and everything, and just follow what you feel you need right now. You can't do that. You got to do this. But if we don't give ourselves to it, then we do stay trapped, and it's more negative outcomes are likely coming our way usually, over whatever periods of time, but eventually they tend to come. So it's a tricky thing, because in short term it says you got to survive, you got to win, you got to do all this stuff. So other than just say, hey, trust, it'll all work out. Like, like, how do you help people? How do you help the brain like relax with all
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, exactly. So there's this gets to the core, right? To unpack how. Um, so you mentioned one of the key pieces there. One of the most pivotal points in our journey of self-realization is recognizing that we are not our thoughts.
Mhm.
So most of these difficulties stem from literally believing the thoughts that pop up in our heads, and we identify with them and we follow them, and we spend gobs of time just lost in these rabbit holes, right? Every day we just there's some people that say we spend 85% of our day lost in thought. Well, that's being a slave to our thoughts, and that's not actually being present. That's not feeling and experiencing what is unfolding in front of us and participating in that and being able to take clear action with what we're actually seeing, but rather we're kind of lost in our mind somewhere. And so how to reduce the time we spend lost in thought so that we just don't believe everything that pops up and become more aware of our thoughts. And this is one of the meditations I teach is thought awareness. It's a simple breathing technique where you just learn to observe your thoughts as they show up, and they'll take your attention away for sure. It'll happen within seconds. And then you learn, once you kind of wake up from that, then you bring your attention back to your breath, and then the mind will take your attention away again and hijack you. And so you're just practicing over and over how to notice that your attention has drifted, and to bring your attention back to your breath, which is back to presence. And it takes some practice. It takes, we've spent decades, our whole lives, living in this reactive state, right? Where we just follow these thoughts and we cling to the ones we like and want the world to give us more of that. And then we resist the ones we don't like, and we try to steer and avoid that. It's this whole roller coaster of life. So how to come out of that, right? So meditation is many different forms. Even yoga and different body exercises, when being in your body takes you out of your head. And we've all experienced how even just a walk around the block with your pet, or through nature, or these simple things, a lot of manual kind of labor of doing the dishes or your laundry and ironing and things, they kind of calm the mind, and we just feel better and lighter. So it's really just creating a practice, a daily practice around those things that create a more balanced mind, that isn't constantly, that we don't believe every single thought that just comes along, and that we can just let go of the ones that don't resonate. Again, it's our internal GPS telling us that this is something I want to pursue. This is an idea that seems worthwhile, and then we can, but we don't have to. If something doesn't feel right, we can learn to let that go. And so that really gets us to a place where the natural your this outcome that we speak of, that we want to have, things that we're living towards. Well, the bigger picture starts to uh, display and unfold, and just kind of reveal itself from this independence of our thoughts, of not being lost constantly, but just really being able to feel what's right for you and have your inner voice guide you through navigate you through these normal everyday situations, so that it takes you and aligns your frequency with this is in alignment. This is in alignment. You can talk about law of attraction and so forth. And then when everything is more and more in alignment, then our whole experience is one of more in alignment. It almost doesn't matter what happens, what shows up in the external. Eventually it does. But even if it doesn't immediately, it doesn't matter so much because you're feeling the way you want to be feeling, which is really the whole idea of the outcome, right? The outcome mind oriented lifestyle is that you want to feel a certain way one day. Well, now you're actually cultivating that alignment with what resonates right now, and you're feeling the way, so you don't need that outcome so much anymore. Those outcomes will happen. Even if they don't, if life takes you a different direction, it's okay because you're still feeling the way you want to be feeling along the way. And it's actually a much more there's mystery and adventure, and it's like, let's see how life unfolds, and
Right.
there's more life juice and essence in living that way.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I was saying with like the example of the tennis. When I allow myself just to enjoy being present with the tennis, and I just drop my mind, and I'm just there more in a curiosity, fun, just being present, and just like, and then again, like the idea of, oh, well, this didn't go the way I wanted it to, kind of starts to disappear. And if things just, it's like automatically, you're just kind of like, well, I think I could have hit the ball a little bit different that way or that way. Afterwards, maybe that idea comes to you right afterwards, but it's not a judgment. It's like, oh, you got it wrong. Damn, I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna make it happen next time. Like it's more like, oh, okay, do it. It kind of needs this or that. And it's not really like a hard thought, but it's just like an awareness. Oh yeah, okay. It just kind of comes to you. You start correcting, auto adjusting a little bit. It's a little bit of auto adjusting, and then yeah, I mean that's what I've experienced anyway. And people say they visualize winning and all that, and with tennis or anything else. And I've just found that's even more powerful. I mean, I'm sure it would be very powerful to do that as well on top of it. But I found just like, honestly, if you just stay present and you might, if you're going to have thoughts, I say be positive. So it's like in the moment, if you start wanting to have a thought, just, oh, well, let's see, how can I appreciate myself? How can I be positive about what's happening here and about the outcomes, and stay present, just stay present, and just be clear, be positive, be sort of confident in a way, but at the same time, just be present. And yeah, and then the energy that you need just kind of shows up in the moment, is what I've experienced with that sort of thing. But I mean, all transparency, I can live that way. And then like, I don't think I'm that much different than other people, but like in this regard, like till you're like, I guess, fully realized or whatever, but like, yeah, the mind can start trying to take over again. That's the thing. It's like, okay, we're back. But what I have found in my process is, on average, at least, there are definitely different rough patches that come up at times, but on average, it doesn't come back the way it did the last time. It sort of does, but it's not as, it doesn't take over as much, I guess, maybe. Maybe, and not for as long, I guess. Maybe it's the duration typically is shorter. Um, you almost automatically get a sense like this, what's going on? Why am I even in this storm? Like, why is this even happening? Like, you're more questioning that than like they're buying into the ideas, is what I've noticed for myself. So it's a whole process. Everybody's a little bit different. Is that what you've noticed? Like everybody's process of deepening their awakening and getting this kind of natural state that you're talking about through this, it all kind of is different, right, for everybody?
Yeah, in fact, that's kind of the beauty of it. Everyone has their own unique journey, and it's so important to recognize. I always say it's one of my pro tips, but it's so key is when people come to us. they're seeking to have an experience. Anybody that walks to you, a friend, a neighbor, relationship, at work, or whatever it is, in your family, it's somebody comes to you and they're seeking to have some kind of experience, either to express themselves or to feel heard or to share something or just to say hi, whatever it is. And to recognize to that what this person is seeking when they come to you, that really helps you then support and nurture that experience. And it keeps you on their side of it, so to speak. You're not comparing what they're saying to your own beliefs or your own needs or what you think is right or wrong, and then reacting from that place. That's how fights happen, right? That's how they then don't feel heard, but rather we stay on their side of it, so to speak, and we're able to nurture them. And I mean, this is the ultimately the formula for love and peace and harmony in every situation, is just to allow people to feel heard and express themselves or have that experience that they're seeking. There are some times when you need to set boundaries, of course, if it's not even ill will kind of situations, but you still have to be contained on your end of it. You can't just give and give and give either. If you have places to be, then you can't just like blow that off either. So there's some balancing that has to be done there. But most of the time, we can create an incredibly rewarding experience for everyone, because it's rewarding for you as well. You're facilitating life, something that's wanting to unfold. It doesn't even have to be with a person. It could be a whole situation, a scene, or with nature. And it's not just humans, it's all of life, where we are life, is to become a facilitator of life wanting to unfold a certain way and to participate in that. That's really, riding the wave and being part of that master flow. And it's, it takes some time and practice to get to that place, because we'll have those thoughts come up and immediately we start thinking critically or comparing and all that. But that's the journey, is to learn to observe, well, this is what I'm feeling. Somebody is accusing me of something. Well, rather than just counter react and the whole thing blows up, is notice, wow, I'm feeling this in my chest. There's heaviness, or there's a stinging in my stomach. All of this, these sensations are happening, obviously, because the frequencies that are being sent your way. But that noticing of your sensations interrupts your reactivity. You can then, calmly respond and say, I need to step away, or let's talk about this later, or that's not, proper. This is not the right time, whatever it is. But you don't become defensive and the whole thing turns into a debacle. So just really, again, being present is the key to everything. And I know there's like, how do you practice being present? Well, you can do it in the simplest things. And the triggers, again, this is the secret design of life. The things that trigger us are the invitations to look closer and move in and observe and investigate and explore and get to know ourselves better. It's like, why am I feeling this right now? Because somebody said something, or a situation, I was overlooked, I was not able to speak my voice, or whatever it is. But those things are showing up as sensations in our body somewhere. And because we feel triggered. If we didn't feel triggered, if there wasn't some kind of wound that is hurt by this, then it would just pass us by. We wouldn't even react. The next person has a whole different set of internal makeup that they're responding from and reacting from. So it's really just the triggers of life are an invitation to get to move in, get closer, know ourselves better. And in this presence, this is really where it gets magical, is there's no room for fear. There's not enough space to be anxious and to project all kinds of things into the past or in the future, or regrets and all this fear, is under the umbrella of fear. It can't exist, because you're so close to your experience of now. I always like to say you're experiencing. And in that place of pure presence, there is only flow, there is only trust, there is there is a deeper knowing that everything is just happening the way it's supposed to and should be, and how petty of us to try and interfere with that and think that it should be different. I mean, it's crazy. Life is happening, this unbelievable complexity and dynamic, and then along come us little beings, and we think it should be different.
Of course, I'm always right. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've always got it figured out, right? Yeah, that's so hilarious. Yeah, well, I think a lot of it, yeah, it's just, I think with the being triggered is, yeah, we're not being approved of. We don't know what to do. We don't know. Maybe we get angry as a way of trying to try to control the situation, manipulate the situation, or whatever. And yeah, but there's such peace in just being present, and then just allowing the answer to show up. That's going to be the answer shows up, and if you could just allow the space of the process to unfold, it can unfold with maybe you don't experience it throughout, but it can end up being very beautiful unfoldment. So no matter what the argument, no matter you're divorcing, you're doing this or whatever, how big it is, that's what I've noticed. Because yeah, the middle, as they say, may not be the greatest, but in terms of like your emotional experience, but it's part of your growth, and you learn so much, during the contracted moments of life. And so I think that is really amazing. That's why I always kind of question people that say they're totally enlightened, or they don't have experience any of that anymore, and they don't need to meditate even, and they're just constantly present. Maybe they are. Who knows? What do I know? Maybe I have no clue, but I'm suspicious. I'm like, I don't totally buy it. I don't totally buy it. Maybe to a degree, but I don't totally buy it. So but who knows? So yeah, well, time flies. So I know that you help people in a number of ways, but you had a free gift for everybody today. Did you want to share that with everybody now?
Sure, absolutely. So since we were talking about meditation and coming out of our minds and thought awareness, so I offer thought awareness classes on my website, Cirak.com, and just look under Learn. And so all the listeners today, if you go to Cirak.com/rockstar, you'll get a free class that you can participate in and really dive into this practice some more.
Awesome. Yeah. And so at least for the first, 100 listeners, that's available at Cirak.com/rockstar. All right. So, I'm a fan of meditation, everybody, right? So you definitely want to check this out and get some more support with getting in this way of being that I talk about, that Chris is talking about, and that we all want to say yes to, but we have a lot of old patterns. We're so conditioned that it's about, again, fighting, whether it's as a country or as an individual or as a whatever. And let's fight, let's make it happen. We're going to prevail, and all that kind of thing. And we're just now taught that, hey, within the spaciousness of all life, we can just kind of relax into it. And there's enormous potential and power and possibilities within it. Chris is going to help you to tap into that, as he has for himself. And he's helped a lot of people with that. So Cirak.com/rockstar. Okay. All right, Chris. Well, we're at the time of the show where I like to do a little tuning in on with my guests. So give you like quick downloads of whatever's coming through. Are you ready to receive?
I am ready.
All right. Okay, here we go, everybody. Remember, hey, downloads might be for you too. So keep on tuning in here. Let's see what comes through. All right, so I get just the overall theme at first, so just keep playing so that you know, you've got that like, wow, you know, the energy and everything. And just that, just like, wow, everything's amazing. And the curiosity um, to just, and just keep playing more is what I hear. I don't, you know, I see a like a banjo or something. Like I don't know. So I don't know if it's just music and stuff, but if they showed a banjo, sometimes it's exact, sometimes it's pointing in a direction. So like there's something with just maybe doing things that seem a little silly to do too, because it feels a little silly in the energy. It's just like, yeah, this is kind of fun. I'm just kind of trying on doing different things that your engineer brain at some level might think part of you totally gets into stuff like that, but like, oh, let's just experiment, right? Then I hear an engineer brain, it's like, what are we doing? Like, so whether the invitation is like, oh, explore, play more, just have more fun. So that's the first one. All right, it's like you're just exploring more of yourself that way. That's true for everyone. Okay. So they're showing me the old pattern of being hard-headed. So you'd be so hard-headed, you just no, that's gonna work. It's gonna happen. Like you'd be so hard-headed is what I get. Like I was just like kind of almost to an insane level in the past. Like through the brick wall. No, it's gonna happen no matter what. And so they're just showing me that image. Let's see what they want to share with you presently today about that. Yeah, I mean, what you may already be aware of to some degree, but they're just encouraging you to keep dropping that energy in favor of more of the deeper presence. And it just supports what you've been saying, like, hey, I used to live for outcomes, not as much or not so much anyway, but less so now. So, but now it's just, okay, rather than running through brick walls, it's deepening in the presence. So you put that together with the play. Wow, that's really magical. Let's see what else is coming through. Let's see what you got for me. Oh. Okay. So it's sort of the sense of you know, I know you travel and everything, but they're saying that there's some timidness in your energy. The word timid comes through. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a timidness or a like, ooh, you know, I'm a little concerned, like a pulling it back kind of energy, and like with your like with being letting your presence radiate more, and because you've got you really do have a very strong presence. So so there's a part of you that like uh you know will like if you feel you're put on the let me give an example. Like if you're put on the spot, it's possible you would, you know, your other okay, full steam ahead, you got that, but you also got the whoa, yeah, I'm taking off here, I don't know what to do. And it's kind of like a shrinking back or a pulling in. So what I'm getting is that is to trust that trust your presence, and then you want to circulate that. And the part that's feeling timid or wanting to pull back, let's see what it's got to say about that. Hold on. It's funny, they show me like a lasso, like you're going to lasso an opportunity, and just coming from, just remember to keep coming from the spaciousness. So if you feel that, like, ooh, like this, like, just remember the spaciousness is holding all this. It's not about me. It's about letting the spaciousness take over and fill in where I feel like I'm not capable of doing all these bigger things in the world that maybe you know you're sensing you're supposed to be doing or wanting to do. So yeah, okay. Okay, so I don't know. So that's what came through today. So I'll just share what comes through. Any quick thoughts or?
I am lit up. This was, you know, I was hoping I could contribute a few things, but this was so made it so worth my time.
All right.
Because, I could feel so energetically we carry around these blocks, these blockages, and these knots. And it's the subtlest things sometimes that create awareness of the knot, and then it dissolves. And it's the light of our awareness, right, that shines and brings light to the darkness of the unconscious and so forth. So everything you just said, it illuminated parts of me. I was like, wow. And it's never ending. And to your point before, it's, if we were purely, enlightened, I think we'd just be vapor.
Right.
As long as we're human, there is resistance in us somewhere, and that's why we're able to be in a body. And why
Right. It's the only way we can carry a body. There's still a little bit of resistance going on. So, yeah, I think so. Anyway, sounds about right. So, okay, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was fun to share. And everybody, if you want to check me out, just go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I happen to have a meditate and make money meditation. It's more of just a listening in meditation sort of thing, but it helps you to definitely turn on the energy around abundance and money. And people do tell me that they see more abundant flow. I've said before, I have people for years that listen to it now. And they say, yep, it just keeps making me more money. Listen to that meditation. They swear by it. So check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. And there's opportunities to get energy scanning with me that I'm sure you'll find there as well. Okay. Yeah, especially if you don't know what to do next in your business and things like that, and you're used to success, but you want to grow your success. I just have a way of tuning in and seeing where that wants to happen, how it can happen, and helping you to even put it into place in a number of cases, not every case, but a number of cases. So again, yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, so we're going to give you the last word, Chris. So any last words of wisdom for the audience today?
Well, I want to counter endorse you, because as a recipient of the scanning, I'm your biggest fan now. So everyone that's listening, it works. I can tell you right here, right now. And so definitely reach out to Daniel. And, in terms of last words of wisdom, it's so important to recognize that it's all a process. And it's so important to know that the things that resonate are resonating because of who we are right now. There's nothing right or wrong ever with anything that we do that we feel pulled towards. And that will result in a lesson, a deepening, some kind of awareness, opening up, and that will then reveal the next pebble on our path. So keep doing what you're doing. There's no right or wrong. Just keep being you.
Awesome. I love that. Perfect. All right, everybody. I'm so glad for having Chris today. So first, I want to say thank you to you, Chris, again, for being on the show. And thank you to the audience. And thank you all for listening in. Keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now. Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.